As the rain poured relentlessly and thunder echoed through the dark, a group of friends sought refuge in a remote cabin nestled deep within the woods. They gathered around a flickering candle, casting eerie shadows on the walls, and decided to share stories to pass the time. Sarah, the quietest of the group, finally spoke up, her voice trembling with trepidation. "Have you ever heard of the black-eyed children?" she asked, her eyes darting nervously towards the cabin's rain-streaked windows. The group exchanged uneasy glances before urging her to continue. Sarah's voice was barely above a whisper as she began her terrifying tale. "It happened on a night much like this one, in a cabin just like this one. A couple, Mark and Lisa, were staying here for a quiet weekend getaway. The rain outside was relentless, drumming on the roof and windows like a sinister symphony. Around midnight, they heard a soft, rhythmic tapping on the cabin door. Mark, being the brave one, decided to investigate. As he opened the door, his heart froze. Standing there were two children, a boy and a girl, soaked to the bone and shivering. The strangest thing about them was their eyes, pitch-black orbs that seemed to swallow all light. Mark and Lisa felt an overwhelming sense of dread wash over them. The children, with a strange and unsettling monotone, asked to be let inside to use the phone and warm up. Mark hesitated, his instincts screaming at him to keep them out. He asked why they were out here in the middle of the night, but the children simply repeated their request, their unblinking black eyes locked onto his. The unease grew into terror, and Mark slammed the door shut, locking it with trembling hands. For hours, the children continued to knock, their voices growing more desperate and demanding. They promised that if Mark and Lisa let them in, they would go away. But Mark knew deep down that letting them in would be a terrible mistake. As the night wore on, the rain intensified and the children's knocks became more frantic. They began to whisper threats through the door, promising that they would come in one way or another. Mark and Lisa huddled together, their fear gnawing at them. At dawn, the knocking finally ceased. Mark and Lisa cautiously opened the door, but the children were nowhere to be seen. The woods were silent, except for the fading echoes of the rain. They never saw the black-eyed children again, but the terror of that night haunted them for the rest of their lives. Sarah fell silent, her story hanging heavily in the air, and the rain outside seemed to have taken on a more sinister tone. The group exchanged uneasy glances, the cabin now feeling more like a trap than a refuge from the storm. They couldn't help but wonder if the black-eyed children might find their way to their secluded cabin in the woods one fateful night.